I guess you could call it my original influence on the guitar, because there were two things that happened. I saw the Blues Brothers movie and fell in love with Steve Cropper, and I saw Elvis on television. And I was like 3, 4 years old when this happened, and that's what made me want to do music. Okay, and so Scotty Moore was hugely influential to me when I was a little boy, and he still is to this day. And to me, I mean, as far as rock and roll guitar playing is concerned, you got him and you got Chuck Berry, man. You know, aside from these great blues artists who were very influential to them, as far as rock and roll is concerned, you know, to me, you've got Scotty Moore and you've got Chuck Berry. You know, and I think everybody talks about Chuck Berry, but Scotty Moore, I think, is left out of the conversation, and which is really a crime, because he really, you can't talk about a more important figure in the history of electric guitar. So anyway, he didn't play an ES5. He played an L5 and he played Super 400s. But this style of guitar, nonetheless, is obviously very kind of indicative of the types of jazz boxes he played. And you can kind of assimilate that to a certain extent, you know. And you can kind of my favorite solo he ever did. Well, there's a couple of things. I mean, the beginning of Hound Dog, just that riff alone just knocked me out. But his solo on Good Rockin' Tonight, which you all would know, but the solo is... Whoops, and I'm breaking stuff because that's what I do. So anyway, there's that solo, and also there's a certain ism. He did it in well, he did it in the song that I'm about to talk about, but he also did it in Blue Moon of Kentucky. You know, Blue Moon of Kentucky, just keep on shining. Where he goes. Actually, hold on a second. Let me play that somewhat right. It's still wrong, but I'll play it somewhat right. It's still not completely right, and I apologize for that. But what I'm getting at is he did this a lot because he played these big jazz boxes with really thick strings, and he could bend kind of, you know, like micro bends, if you will. And he did it in the solo of Blue Moon of Kentucky, where he's essentially bending basically a half step down from the note he's trying to do in unison with the other note. Very funky, very almost dissonant sounding, but very, very funky, at least to me, okay? And this would be imitated later, most notably by Keith Richards, who did it actually like in Monkey Man. There's a very good example of him doing this kind of thing. But where I first heard it was actually the very first guitar solo I ever learned when I was a little kid, Heartbreak Hotel. As simple as can be, but like most things, the most iconic things usually are the most simple, that everyone then goes, why didn't I think of that, right? So it was the first solo I ever learned, and everybody plays it wrong. Everybody usually plays it like this. Wrong! Wrong. First part of it is correct, but he ended it with that hellacious half-step, almost dissonant kind of bend, because he couldn't bend, because he was probably playing 13-gauge flat ones. The right way to play it is like this. difference? Now that to me is so funky, and I remember sitting and learning that in my bedroom, and obviously it helped shape me from the very beginning, and it's something that I always remember, and it's something that I actually was talking about recently. I was really fortunate. Rolling Stone magazine is doing a feature on us coming out here shortly, and the interviewer Kevin asked some really, really great questions, and I'd forgotten that. He'd asked me about when I was learning to play and what are some of the first things I ever learned to play, and it immediately, like, having not thought about it for maybe 20 years or more, it shot into my head when I learned to play Heartbreak Hotel, and that it really was like the first thing I sat and really learned solo-wise. So once again, on a beautiful old ES5, on that note, go out, check out some fine vintage guitars in your area, and thank you again for taking the time to watch this. This is a longer one than usual, and I really appreciate Gary for having me today. And again, I hope to see you out on the road, and God bless you all, and take care of yourself and take care of the person next to you and around you. Much love. Stay groovy.